kiddos. Today is a history day. Well, really, I'm trying to get myself geared up to go adult. Have a few things to get into the home before the snow hits. Whatever that will be, it will be. I've got some history for you that was in my lifetime, and I didn't know I was being exposed to a history. There is that batter. There's not a reflection, but I can't see a damn thing. Going to go into two different counties in Indiana. Vermilion County, the little town of St. Bernice, Indiana. The people I will speak of are dead, but their history needs to be honored. Bill Hess and Miss Frances Meyer. Miss Meyer was a school teacher at Ernie Pyle Elementary School. Bill Hess was a pianist, a very good one. They would have been born in the 1910s, 1920s. I don't know much about the past before St. Bernice, but I know about the time that I knew them in St. Bernice. They lived in the same house. I remember asking if they were married and was told with a chuckle, no, they weren't. They were more like brother and sister. I accept that. Miss Meyer was Presbyterian. Her clip-on beads and necklaces always matched. And I mean no disrespect, but if you'd run into Miss Myers, she would have looked like a very masculine lesbian in a dress. She had that drill sergeant walk and was very harsh with me in school. Now, Bill Hess was a little bit flamboyant. I can't remember where he played music at, but I think it was in St. Bernice, not Clinton, Indiana, at one of the supper clubs. The Italians were very strong at that time in Clinton, Indiana. Siciliano, and some from Sardinia. Anyway, that had to do with the shaft coal mining that was happening at the time. Now, in their lifetime, being open as to your preferences was at the beginning of a dangerous time. The end of World War I, the strength of eugenics, the rising of Nazism in the United States. You should look up a lovely book written by Henry Ford. So many people would pair up. Better to be thought you were living in sin than being one of those. I believe, if I remember my stories correctly, Miss Myers had a group of female friends that would come in and they would have a card game. Well, that excluded any Nazarenes knocking on their doors. Bill Hess played at several funerals that my father performed. Now, as I'm older, I understand why Miss Myers was tough on me. In her way, she was trying to harden my shell. She knew more about the world than I thought she did. During that time period, people would even marry to avoid suspicion and list. Or move into a town where the automatic gossip suspicions would be that you're living in sin and remaining to yourself and a group of friends. Don't know much about Bill Hess's circle of friends. He had to keep that very, very secret. As with Miss Myers, she was a teacher. I hate looking back at history and seeing things repeat themselves. But now with info all over the place, moving to a small town and hiding. Well, a few of you all can. I've put myself out there just so maybe it's the sharing of the stories or a way to prepare. I don't know. There's way too much personal information out there. And I know that mine got onto the dark web. I hope they're kind. But that's Miss Meyer and Bill. I can't remember which one of them died first. I think it was Bill. They lived across the street from the Hobarts, which next door to the Hobarts was Miss Lamb. Looking back, I think her house may have one time been a large chicken coop. She, I forgot to take care of this thing. It's the beginning of my daily 30 plus telephone calls. What would have been the run in the front across the small building was glassed in as a sun porch. I remember visiting once, and Miss Lamb was old Pilgrim Holiness / Nazarene. Her hair had never been cut. She would braid it into 2 long braids that touched the floor, and then wind them around her head and fasten them. She was a quiet woman, a lovely woman. And I think her faith was her companion. St. Bernice has so many different stories in it. So many. More sorrows than happiness. But we will proceed. To Orange County, Indiana. Paoli, and Chambersburg. How could those two be connected? Well, Hugh and Roscoe were a couple. By them being a couple and keeping to themselves was one of their safety measures. The second safety measure was the power of a family name. The Boyds. The Boyds, like the Ballards, their name carried a type of protection. Now, Hugh was a hairstylist in Paoli. Aunt Sue used to go to Hugh for her colors and such. I remember asking Aunt Sue if I could go with her sometime. She said, well, I'll have to ask Hugh. And Hugh firmly said no. Because I was known wide all over the community as a person of diversity. And the talk that would ensue if a friendship had developed, just a friendship. I knew they were a couple. Everyone knew they were a couple. I was looking for community in a place where everyone in the diversity community was sequestered. They had a lovely little modern house in Chambersburg. Um, she played the organ. Anyway, we have two couples, two different small areas surviving. The fears and anxieties of both peoples the threat of the eugenic society, the masculinization of the United States between World War I and World War II, well, if you've listened before, you know my histories. I'm trying to think of any other persons in the past that I can share some of their history that I know. I cleared Ronnie's name. There's others that were in the shadows of the diversity community. No, that one needs to stay where it is right now, because it gets into some very touchy topics and information. St. Bernice and Paoli have a lot in common. Segregated by little tiny neighborhoods. There was St. Bernice proper, and then there was West St. Bernice on the other side of the railroad tracks. Right before you get to the Illinois border. Well, smack dab on it. Some people were segregated to that side of town. That's something a historian will have to look into. St. Bernice is not much of a town anymore. Paoli is reaping the Benefits of French Lick and West Baden hotels and gambling. And French Lick always did well at the hotel with gambling. I worked on the crew that would set up the casinos, pulling out the tables and such, roulette, dice, poker, from the hidden closet And we would always get a warning uh, from Brownie, the sheriff. And we could flip a casino into a banquet party in a matter of minutes. So we never got busted. Wonder how much Brownie made off of that. I think between the two, Stephen King could write a new book, The Tale of Two Cities. Lord have mercy. They say when you get old, you reflect back on the past. I'll tell you what, in the years, there's a lot to reflect on. But now we come to this time period where the elders like myself are going to become part of y'all, the youngers, history. No monuments, please. If you make one, I want it to go on top of the war memorial. I'm not anti-military, but all the coliseums that are being built in and around Indianapolis and our strip of memorials reminds me of walking through the ancient city of Rome. What will the next civilization, or if they have archaeologists, what do they think about our little town trying to be a city? So, as long as I have the ability to speak and can share little ramblings of Sister Estelle, don't know how long they'll be left up. I don't know who the new oligarch of communications will be. The Chancellor is filling up those positions quite interestingly. Oh, it does weigh on me. I was hoping it, but at this time in my life, would be finished with trials and tribulations and governmental control. We'll have to see. When I heard, "You will never have to vote again," that sunk into the depths of my bones. But I have to remember, even in the rain, the birds still sing. Remember, you are important. Your journey is important. Your communities and groups, like Miss Myers' card games, are important. Be kind to yourself. Do something, no matter how little it might be. Get a bar of dark chocolate. Sit and eat the whole thing. It's going to be difficult to tolerate others. So, blessed be blessed, and blessings. Mama has to get ready to go adult. Damn.